Look, we're not foolish. We know that we need 100 people to watch this video today. We know that. We know we need about 100 people to watch, and like 3 new subscribers. If we get 3, maybe 6 new people to hit that subscribe button there at the bottom, that would be great. Welcome to a brand new Village Vice. He's Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. Today's show brought to you by mybookie.ag. They're going to give you a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 when you use our promo code BARN. Wow. BARN, B-A-R-N. That's it. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip, all when you use promo code BARN at mybookie.ag. Zach, everybody is talking about this. I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why. I know why, and we're going to get into it. But let's go ahead and, I guess, jump into it because it's May, and we need to jump into it.
I think we need to jump into it because, every Auburn fan has an opinion on it, right? Either you think it's dumb or you think what he said was ridiculously dumb, and there's really not a whole lot of in between.
Right. So Hugh Freeze on the next round last week. And he's asked.
We have it. Do you want to play it? I don't really care.
Let's play it.
Play it or do play it?
No, do play it. Let's
play it.
Sure, because I think it's important for context. Because
all right, here it is.
Hang on. My prediction is most people who have an opinion on it haven't listened to the whole thing.
I agree with that 100%. Here's the
going into this season. Does it feel a little bit different? Do you feel like, hey, I've got to win X amount of games?
I'm not a fool. I think we've got to go to a bowl game, and I think our administration understands. Look, I inherited a program that didn't have a top 25 recruiting class for 4 years. You're not going to win in this league. We've had now 2 full recruiting classes, both top 10. I think one more than your roster looks complete, but I'm still not naive. And we should have won some games last year that we could have won some games. I shouldn't say we should. We could have won some games last year. And we've got to find a way to make sure we're excellent in those areas that cost us those, that put us in a position to be at least bowl eligible, if not more. And I see no reason why we shouldn't do that. And I think that's an expectation that our people should expect.
Okay. We don't have time on this show to play every other clip from the last 2.5 years where he's talked about Auburn's expectations as a program being at a championship level and getting Auburn back to the championship level. Anybody who really earnestly thinks that's his view of the expectation of the Auburn program, big picture, it's not. I don't know how to talk to you if you really think that's his view of the program. Like, I don't know. I legitimately don't know how to talk to you if you think that's what he thinks. Because for the last 2.5 years, all he's talked about is being competitive in the SEC, being competitive in the playoff, and getting Auburn back to a championship level of football. Mm-hmm. I genuinely don't know what to say to you if you think otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to agree on everything on this. So I'm gonna take the conversation a step further because I agree with everything you said, 100%.
I have more too. This kind of a different angle that I haven't heard yet in the mini conversation.
Go ahead, because I think with what I'm gonna add to that I haven't added anywhere else yet, may take us away from it. So go ahead.
I'm always really interested when things like this happen, and there's a seed of contention that's planted. Because I'm interested in the source of it. I'm interested in where it comes from. I'm interested in the narrative. Kalen DeBoer went on the same show and wasn't asked a question about pressure and expectations and how many wins do you need this year. You don't think he's under pressure in year 2 after missing the playoff with a roster built for the playoff?
Yeah, I would argue he's under more pressure.
I would agree with that.
Pressure doesn't always mean hot seat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you ask a question about pressure and the number of wins, now, if you want to ask a hot seat question, then use the term. But if you're just asking a question about pressure and number of wins and that kind of thing, my second thought is that coaches kind of think yearly, 1 year to the next. And it's very clear there that Hugh Freeze was setting a baseline. Like, they didn't go to a bowl last year. So at the very least, he got to go to a bowl this year. I find 3 other parts of his answer far more fascinating than the part about going to a bowl game. The fact that he mentioned that they should have won several more games last year.
Yeah, then he walks it back and says could have, which I think is interesting.
Which means should have.
Correct.
And that they want to make sure they're cleaned up and better in the areas that all right. And they have a new special teams coordinator, and Alex McPherson is like, I know y'all I know that I beat that dead horse, but they've taken the steps to improve all those
things. That's the
things.
boring thing, right? It's like an unfortunate thing happened to your kicker as a human, not as a player, but as a human, and therefore he wasn't available to be the football player.
Right.
And now it seems that he's healthy enough to be back. Like, and kicking was a big part of close games. It always is. Sure. Like, that's the boring answer because you didn't add anybody. You didn't really lose anybody. And as far as like a roster standpoint, but like that kind of seems like it fixed itself.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of a boring angle, right?
And that's kind of back to the point. You got 2 sources of this contention. One is the content creation portion. Like, all right, it's May. This will drive engagement, and people know it, and so they're going to try to stir it up and try to drive it. Okay, that's great. There is another reason, though, that some in the media would try to take this and run with it. And we've talked about this before on this show. It's people who are invested in Auburn failing. Yeah. They are invested in discontent and shortcomings. And let me tell you who benefits the most. If Hugh Freeze wins, let's say 7 games, and he isn't back next year, do you know who that benefits more than unhappy Auburn fans? Do you know who it benefits more? Alabama.
It benefits a lot of people.
And Georgia and Tennessee and Florida and LSU and these programs. So
yeah, unless like you just bring in somebody that we don't think is gettable, right?
Sure.
But in almost every scenario I can think of, it sets Auburn back a few years.
Yeah.
100%.
So, and there are people who are not straight down the middle media members who are only driving engagement. There are people who absolutely are fueled by the desire to see Auburn fail. And they see what we see. They see what he talked about in that answer. Back-to-back top 10 recruiting classes, building toward another. They see they see the fact that Auburn should have won more games. And those people are interested in finding anything they can find to throw a wrench in the momentum, the alignment, the stability.
I'm going to push back. Like, I agree with you in principle. I'm not entirely sure that's what happened. I think Auburn folks, the upset Auburn folks are the ones that I saw really run with this.
Okay. I'm listening.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the end of the thought.
So you're not talking about media people. You're talking about fans. Fans in general.
Well, you're referring, you've said it before, like you're referring to the machine.
Yeah,
right?
The Alabama media machine. Sure.
The Alabama media machine. I didn't say the full phrase. That's on me.
I don't mind saying it.
No, I don't. I'm glad that you said it. I don't think that's what happened.
Okay.
I think this is just something where Auburn folks just hated the answer. All right, I don't even know if they hated the answer. I think most of them didn't know what the full answer was. I think they hated the quote that got grabbed.
And kind of to the point, who grabbed the quote and ran with it? Those weren't Auburn fans. Those were people who said either because they knew it would drive engagement, yeah, let's take this and run with it, or for the nefarious reason. I don't know what percentage is what, but you know,
I don't know.
It's a quote that if anybody said it, I mean, if Brian Kelly said it, we'd be talking about it. If Josh Heupel said it,
I didn't see it right away, and I had it texted to me, and I'm like, this is before I saw the response, but I'm like, oh, people are going to lose their minds over this.
Yeah,
they did.
You just know
they did. Yeah.
In this business, you know that's the reaction that it's going to draw. So I do think most people are in that camp, but I'm not naive enough to think that there aren't people in the other camp that any wedge that they could drive, any seeds they can sow, they're going to do that. And I would say this and I know you said this morning on your other show, and I thought it was a good point. There's a segment of people, Auburn fan base and otherwise, that just don't like Hugh Freeze. And so anything that he does that is
he's
not
more susceptible to this backlash than several other coaches, for sure.
Yeah. Right
And
or
some
wrong.
of it is
fair,
like
fair or unfair, people feel that way. And
yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. And I don't know. I actually kind of respect the fact that like I'm sure he's aware of that, and it doesn't really change how he addresses like interviews and stuff. Like I'm kind of, I don't know, that actually is kind of impressive to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to pivot this just a hair, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about baseball.
Yeah. Pivot.
Once again, I need to preface this pivot with, I agree with everything you said.
Okay.
And I'm sure Hugh Freeze feels this way too. I am so ready for him and everybody else to quit referring to the Harsin era. And like the years before Hugh Freeze and the situation he inherited, it's valid right now. It's valid, but it's so close to not being valid anymore. And I can't wait for that.
Okay. So you're not saying it's here now. You're saying it's close. It's like,
right. Like next year, we're not talking about it anymore. And I can't wait for that.
That's fair.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think it's valid to still talk about it now. Some.
Sure. I'm not dismissing it, but I'm just looking forward to the point in time where it's not relevant anymore.
Yeah, I get that. I can totally, I think that's justified.
Yeah.
And I think everybody will refer to it less a year from now.
Because we'll know the answer. It's either okay, it's working, or it's not. We'll know.
Yeah. Well, and there's no, like, there are completely undeniable areas of improvement now versus during the Harsin era. I mean, like, your record is your record, and I understand that. And, people go, well, this guy won this many games, that guy won that many games. Okay, surely we all understand that the foundation you get can dictate some of that your first or second year. Terry Bowden went undefeated in 1993.
Yeah.
After 11 years of Pat Dye building a foundation.
Right.
All right. So it matters. It matters.
Sure.
But I agree with you. Yeah. A year from now. Yeah. That'll be gone.
And I think even Gus, like his first year, like, I mean, I know he brought in, Nick Marshall and all that, but I mean, the knock against Chiswick and his staff was not recruiting.
No, they had a foundation.
Yeah. Right.
They had a foundation. The problem they ran into in 2012 was they tried to fight fire with fire instead of fighting fire with water.
Okay.
So that's
you worked your way through that.
Yeah.
You got there. That was good.
They tried to do the same thing from a schematic standpoint.
I get it.
That some of the other schools were doing, and that's not it.
Yeah, they took a step back schematically. They were like, let's go back to like the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody else is evolving, but let's devolve offensively and defensively. Yeah. Rowback. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Am I right though? RHOBACK.com, rowback.com. Use promo code VICE20 to get 20% off your order. Get asked for the code often. It's very easy to remember. VICE20, VICE20. They've got all the best quarter zips and polos and performance hoodies and hats. They've got it all. Rowback.com. Use promo code VICE20. Brad Law, the Auburn Tigers head to Oxford.
Yep.
They drop 2 out of 3. They get that last one to avoid the sweep. They're the 6th seed in the SEC tournament. It seems like they've done enough still to secure a national seed.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens in Hoover. Maybe an extra win or two would not hurt their situation at all.
No, it wouldn't hurt. If you could get to an 18th league win, that would be huge.
Yep.
I think 17 is enough. 3 very interesting games. Like the hits wound up being separated by 1 or 2. Just some crazy numbers coming out of that series. We'll go into it more in the Barn Baseball Show this week if you want to check that out. But I think they've done enough. I think 17 in this league. Like in the last decade, we've talked about how deep the SEC was, and getting to 16 or 17 wins. Like last year, 17. I'd have to go back and look at it, but I would think 17 wins got you a national seed last year. And then you added Texas and Oklahoma. And Texas, oh, by the way, won the league. So I would think if 17 was enough before those two, it's got to be enough with those two.
Sure.
The expanded SEC. And Auburn did not play Missouri. In fact, other than Missouri, Auburn's opponent winning percentage was the highest among SEC teams. Number one strength of schedule. And there were only 3 or 4 teams at the end of the year that won 7 series. And Auburn was one of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they've done enough. Go out and get 1 or 2 more wins in the tournament and solidify the thing.
Right. Right.
And
Ike Irish
yeah.
getting national recognition as he should. Chris Rimbert. I don't know if he's going to be SEC Freshman of the Year, but I think he certainly should be.
Yeah.
It's cool to see these guys kind of peak towards the end of the season and get the recognition that they deserve.
Ike hit almost 450 in SEC road games. Think about that.
It's silly.
That's
absurd.
It's absurd. It's ridiculous. Ike is arguably the best baseball player we've seen at Auburn in this generation. You may have to go all the way back to Tim Hudson before you find a guy that is comparable, that you would compare to Ike Irish. He should be SEC Player of the Year. I'm biased, but I don't care. He should be SEC Player of the Year. Chris Rimbert should be SEC Freshman of the Year.
Sure.
Usually they give those things to guys from Arkansas or LSU or Vanderbilt. In the Freshman of the Year, they may give it to Dylan Volantis, the freshman closer for Texas, because he's a pitcher, and you have 3 or 4 position players who I think are going to steal votes from each other. So, but those guys have had elite, like top of the league seasons.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're going to get to see Plainsman Park in a regional for the 3rd time in 4 years.
Can't ask for much more than that.
And then you win that, and you're going to see him at home for a super, I think, which
I think so too.
Has never happened.
It'd be so cool for that to happen the first year of like the new revamped Plainsman Park. That'd be really fun timing.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll have more Village Vice later in the week. But Brad, I think that just about does it for today's show. It does. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for hitting that subscribe button. Remember, until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.